Passover's over, and wouldn't it be neat if you could use all the matzah that you didn't eat? Catch it like a frisbee with your friends in the park, or you could jump in the water and pretend you're a shark. You can make a matzah big and play the guitar, and you can make a matzah license plate for your car. Use it as a coaster when you're drinking your beer, or you can throw it as confetti for a happy new year.
7. Insulate.
8. Decorate.
9. Exfoliate. 10.
Constipate? Passover's over, and wouldn't it be neat if you could use all the matzah that you didn't eat? Crumble up some matzah to line your hamster cage, or you can use it as a bookmark to hold your page. Break a stack of matzah when you practice your karate. Build a matzah doghouse for your doggy named Scotty. Make a little matzah board and wave it goodbye, or you can make a pair of matzah wings and learn how to fly.
17.
Wear some matzah jewelry, make a picture frame for me, have a drink of matzah tea. Matzah's all that I can see. There's just one more thing to do with unleavened bread. You can eat it, 'cause it ain't all that bad.
And welcome to another episode of Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. I am Raizel, and I'm here with Malya, my stepsister and co-host.
Here I am. Hello.
Hello.
Repeat after me.
Those are her levels.
Levels are good.
We haven't been here in a while. We're so happy to be back.
Very happy. It's been a wild ride.
It's been too long. It's been a wild ride. We could tell our listeners that Molly and I are going to catch up.
We need to.
And we'll catch up. We haven't talked to our listeners since Purim,
right.
Mass for Purim, so we'll catch up about that.
Oh, yes.
And Purim passed, and then Pesach passed. We'll catch up about that, and we're back.
Fabulous.
We're back on our regular scheduled programming, and we will discuss the book we read tonight, which is Texas Cowboy Sweetheart. Possibly, it's possible that some of you also read it, because between our last episode and now, we learned something completely bananas, which is that after we post the book that we're going to be reading on our Instagram, book sales go up.
We are officially bookfluencers.
We're bookstagrammers.
Bookstagrammers. We're moving the sales needle.
Roz said that after we posted a mask for Purim, what was the number?
21.
21.
Lucky 21.
21 books were sold.
And I feel it's significant to say that it wasn't even after we aired the episode. It was when we announced we were going to read the book. Yeah. So it's like people are really reading along.
People are really reading along.
I'm assuming what she assumed, which is that 21 sales in a day wasn't just because of A Mass for Purim being the great book that it is.
Which, by the way, it was, but...
Of course.
This had to do with our announcing it.
That's what they think, and I'm with them.
It was one of... a huge highlight for me. I cannot believe it.
Well, Roz's whole letter to us after that episode was, we've gotten a few great letters from authors. Like, I feel like that's really been a highlight of this entire experience.
Yeah.
But Roz's was just great from start to finish. Like, they really got into everything.
It answered so many of our questions. Loved the episode, but also because Roz is such a good writer, reading the letter.
Yes, it was a great letter.
Oh,
And they really like it. It was really just they did a close listen and answered all of our questions and gave us like dirt about their personal life. Like, it was just a really intimate letter.
I know. I wrote back asking how much of it I could share on this episode, but I didn't hear back.
Oh.
So I'm apprehensive. One thing that I thought was amazing was that, well, okay, we said this a year ago, but Roz was retired from Instagram or off Instagram or something from Instagram at some point.
Yes.
And you know when you tag someone in a post, it goes to them as a DM. That's like literally how I ended up in Jonah Platt's DMs. Like, I literally slid into his DMs via our post.
Yes, of course.
So Roz said something like, "It's adorable that you sent me the episode as if I don't already listen to every episode of your podcast," which is just.
I know. I'm grinning like irrepressibly right now.
It was just like and so many things about that were incredible. First of all, Roz is just an active listener.
Crazy.
I can't. But second of all, I didn't send it. It was just in my Instagram story. Like, Roz is not good at Instagram.
Right. And they also did clarify that like they were sort of retired under that particular pen name, but weren't cutting off the possibility of writing in other ways.
And also implied that it's possible we're inspiring them to keep writing.
Yes.
Incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
And courteous that you asked about how much we could include, because I would have just blabbed about that whole letter. But I think
I want to share. I think there's things we can, but this was the first part, which I definitely can share because we already alluded to it. Please forgive the novel I've written you here, parentheses, and Obs would love to hear any and all of your thoughts. 1, when you announced the episode, suddenly there were 21 sales of a mask for perm in one day. So thank you for being incredible publicists.
Amazing.
Yeah, Roz is a fan, which is such high praise for us because we are such big fans. Incredible. But Roz has a full-time job now, super busy, really not writing.
Right. And that was the main reason that they had sort of stopped writing for now, not because of sort of disillusionment with, I don't know, their success as a writer, which is kind of what we had thought originally, I think.
Right. Then there was some clarity about where they're from, what small town it's modeled after.
Yes.
A queer-ish suburb outside of Chicago. And then also shared with us all of the different perm parties that the perm party in the book is modeled after, which made sense to me because after we recorded, I actually saw one of them, like there was something in the city, maybe at the JCC, or there was the Vashti Ball, and they linked that here. So there really are a lot of like big queer perm bashes.
Totally. Makes sense.
And just talk about so many things, the believability factor, writing about their own personal life, their own history. And also one thing that I thought was, there was just so much. There was so much. Also,
I really liked what they said about, I mean, I guess I knew this intuitively, but I thought that they put it really well about how that they feel like in books, the feelings need to be believable, not necessarily the plot.
Yeah.
And that never really occurred to me, but I guess that's true about this whole genre. Like, it's not really the action that you're relating to or that you feel is realistic, obviously, as sort of every one of our conversations has sort of unearthed, but like it's if the feelings are relatable, that makes it a good read.
Totally. I think about that a lot. We've never discussed Taylor Swift. Do you listen to the music of Taylor Swift? Are you a Swiftie?
Yeah, sure.
The feelings that Taylor Swift's lyrics make me, she brings me back to so many feelings I've felt in my life. But it's like the scenario might not be relatable at all. It's like but the feeling is palpable.
Right. Yeah.
And that is how I felt in some of the scenes in this book. And it's a really good point for sure.
Right. Yeah. I never dated the football quarterback or whatever the scenario is in Taylor Swift songs, but right. Like, the vibes are, the vibes
exactly
are there.
Exactly. And And then at the very end of Roz's absolutely incredible letter, it says, okay, I do not expect you to read any of my other books at all. It's been such a gift to have you read these two, but just in case you ever do, I'm going to make it easy for you here. And then linked every book with such incredible descriptions that when we're ready for our next Roz Alexander book, which I know we will be at some point, I'm going to read the descriptions and we'll choose one.
Amazing. Yeah, we got a whole like little self-created bibliography. So cool.
And every single one seems extremely readable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really awesome.
Definitely need to revisit that catalog. Best email. I mean, I don't want to say best because there were a couple of other really good letters we got from authors, but totally a highlight.
We don't want to make any of the other authors feel bad.
No. I'm very diplomatic.
But incredible. So thank you to Roz. And I loved that book. I loved recording it. I loved the episode, and I'm really happy that Roz liked it.
Amen.
So we haven't recorded for a really long time.
Right. Well, there's a lot to catch up on. First of all, the last time we recorded was before Purim. So I don't know, do we want to start with how your Purim was? We also had Passover. I don't know. Where do we begin here?
It's insane. Purim was good. How was yours?
Purim was good. We went to this blowout but family-friendly, daytime bash at this, big kosher restaurant, but the local, Chabad took over, and there were, bouncy houses and, whatever, just
goldfish in a bag? Were there goldfish?
No goldfish given out, thank the Lord. No party favors of any kind, just, a lot of really good food, which was great. And
meat or dairy?
Oh, meat. A meat. Brisket,
pigs in blankets. Brisket.
There was kid friendly pigs in blankets, but also more more high level brisket and chicken, open bar. And then I was sort of trying to somewhat enjoy myself and let my kids sort of run feral, and then another mom came in and was Mushka's at the top of the bouncy house slide and is refusing to come down, and she's holding up the whole line of children. The whole bouncy house world has come to a halt, and I was oh shit. And I started running outside, and then another mom had to another stranger mom had to climb up and slide down with her, and then carried her into me, and I sheepishly took her and was thanks. So
what costume was she in as she was having a silent tantrum on the top of the slide?
Oh my God, I don't remember. There was also a face painting booth. So at that point, she was fully face painted with some kind of unicorn rainbow face situation. And she was also wearing some generic sort of princessy type thing with I think a unicorn horn thingamajig. Yeah, exactly. So she was fully decked out. Also, there was a guy there who was sort of who we've seen around before, who was sort of hovering around the periphery, and then sort of we've seen him at other events before. He always comes to dinners, and he sort of awkwardly said hi to me, and then as he was leaving, William was that guy just walked out with 100 pounds of food in that shopping bag that he's holding.
Happy Purim.
He had a whole system where he was loading up. So
happy Purim to him.
William was he had loose sleeves. He was putting it wherever he could. I was listen, that was really good food. I commend that guy, actually. We should have thought ahead and had a system, but we did not. We just
bringing your own to-go containers to parties is the move. I haven't done it, but I should. A lot of wasted food.
They waste so much food, and I mean, it's so good. And listen, I've been known to have a Ziploc. We've been known to have a Ziploc or two in a pant pocket at a party. We're not above.
What goes in it? What goes in it?
This
is going in my romance book that I write. The two of you with your
It's
Ziplocs.
really romantic. It's one of the most romantic things we do.
Sexy.
Totally, because it's a little sneaky, and it's we're in our own little world. We're ducking into corners, but it's just to
what goes in the Ziploc?
We're pretending to lean really close to each other, but it's just so we can both get into the Ziploc at the same time.
What kinds of foods have you put in? Are they saucy? Is it
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there was one, William's reminding me, there was this one time there were like these extra duck breasts like on the like they were like last call because they were like dimming the lights to go in for the dinner, and there were just like these final duck breasts like laid out, you know, like at the
But
buffet.
what kind of party was this? What kind of party was this with the duck breast?
I feel like I can't say. I feel like that's giving it away too much.
Oh,
It's
okay,
the
fine,
kind of
okay.
party where I don't want anyone to know that I was doing this. Just let your imagination do what it has to. But like definitely saucy things like meat, like as much meat as possible. Like, you know, like carving stations. Carving stations are huge.
Like carving station at a schmorgner wedding, you have a Ziploc and you
Ziploc, load up a plate. Oh yeah, I'll take a little bit of that too. Yeah. Oh sure, yeah, a little more of that. Oh yes,
so
and then there
good.
was one time, the best was when I was breastfeeding and I would bring that big bag with
Like
like
a
all my
pumping bag?
yeah, like a pumping bag. And then in the middle, I was like, "Oh, William, but this was slick, okay?" I was like, we're at the dinner, and I'm like, "I need to go pump." And I go to the bag, and William did this whole thing where he was like, "I'm just gonna bring this dinner plate back to my wife. She's pumping."
You fill up
And
with
then
Tupperware?
just slid the whole dinner right into that pumping bag. No one,
It's so
none
good though,
the
because
wiser.
the thing is, like, that's lunches. Wait, the kids get lunch at school, or you have packed lunch?
A mixture, but like the kids were fed
That's like
for
dinner.
have been fed for days on that. Oh
days.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's
They love
absolutely
it.
incredible. It's actually like I do feel that there's like a crossover between this and the Park Slope dumpster diver I dated.
Oh my God.
It's like I feel like the worlds are colliding a little,
I
and
can't
like
believe you're revealing that you dated that Park Slope dumpster diver.
You're revealing that you slide wedding brisket into.
No, you're right. I just always thought that you would always mention that guy with like a little like, "Don't tell my mom."
No, I don't know if I've ever specifically told my mom, but yes, the Park Slope dumpster diver.
Oh, I remember.
I feel that this is like a little bit like worlds colliding. And William says that guy was my hero. Anyway,
you were pretty amazed when he first introduced. I have a very clear
Well, it was
memory
just-
of when you were like, "But these bagels are perfectly good." You don't understand.
It was crazy, like, because like it's kind of like what you're saying, like when you do learn about like how much perfectly good food is wasted. It was like full clamshells of arugula still wrapped in this safety seal.
Yeah.
Like
Totally.
full plastic clamshells of like organic spring mix, leafy greens with the safety seal and not expired.
Right. It would be a crime not to take it.
And the thing is, like, when I was with him outside of the Union Market, like a few blocks from you, I don't know if that Union Market still exists, probably does.
Yeah, it does.
It was like people would start sorting through it, and then like all these Park Slope parents would like pull up in their cars. People would be like, "Oh, I found a bag of bell peppers," and people would be like, "I already have enough bell peppers for the week," and like they were like generously like sharing all this organic produce that was just sitting in garbage bags outside of Union Market. It's really crazy.
It's very interesting, but that's a whole world. I wonder who
A
else is doing
whole
that.
world. That's the thing. It was like a whole world, and it was like dark and late at night, but just like regular people who like.
I wonder if that's a secret, like they're like regular bougie Park Slope mom by day, dumpster diver by night, and they don't share with anyone because they're ashamed.
I don't know. He was very proud, but maybe they're ashamed, or maybe they're all talking about it.
Well, he was in a different, like he was like sort of
He was like the
proudly-
king of the dumpster divers, so it was different.
Yeah, totally. He was the one like motioning to those people pulling up in the cars.
Yeah.
Right.
He was the king of the dumpster divers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe he's the one that got away there, Rachel. King of the dumpster divers.
King of the dumpster divers. Anyway, so I had no idea about you and your dumpster diving of kosher schmorg food, but it's incredible.
But we did not do that at the Purim party, and that's
But
why
that guy did.
that guy really made out like a bandit. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Okay, so Purim was good. Our Purim was good. There were like multiple different kind of like levels of Purim, and like it started weeks early because I had my work Purim party weeks early, and then
right.
last minute when it was our turn to have our Megillah reading and Purim party at our shul, I was just like, I need to be Evan Hansen today. But I had very little time to put together my Evan Hansen costume.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, I have to run to Target right now and find a polo with blue stripes. Like, I need to go. It felt urgent. Mitch is like, go into my closet. We'll find what you need. I was like, okay, I need khakis. I need a collared polo shirt. And I need something that looks like a cast. Can you find me gauze? He found me and the abdominal binder from after you have a baby.
Oh, yeah,
It's like a white, wrapped it up on my arm like a cast, put on his khakis, put on his blue polo that we found. It was the best costume. I like a costume that's so good that if you know the character, you immediately know who it is, but otherwise you have no idea who the fuck it is.
Totally. That's great.
I
Because it
love
also,
that.
like, it helps you sort out. Like, it just,
Yes.
it's like a screening. It's a costume / screener for just the people in your life.
Yes. Okay. I see you, shul folks, who like the ones who like thought it was really good, and to anyone who didn't know, I was like, I know you don't get it, but trust me, this is a very good costume.
Was anyone like, oh, you're Jughead, or like, I don't know, did anyone?
No one thought I was someone else.
Okay.
Either people knew I was Evan Hansen,
Right.
or they had no idea who.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was really fun. It was really fun. And I love Purim, so it was good. Made some delicious hamantashen this year.
I saw your Instagrams of the hamantashen. They looked really epic.
Really good. I would say my new favorite filling is lemon curd.
That is
I love
really
lemon
good.
desserts. I just love lemon.
They're very good. I'm still
So-
in the well, I mean, I like every hamantash. I'm really in the halva camp every year.
So
I
delicious.
I love it.
Absolutely delicious.
Mm-hmm.
I would actually love to do a ripped bodice Purim party.
Oh, that'd be really fun.
I think because it's obviously Hanukkah erotica, you know, that time of year is really good. But a ripped bodice Purim party, and then we could serve hamantashen, which are obviously you know what's, and very
know what.
sexy.
Yes. Yeah, and the whole holiday.
I think we
like
should
we've
talk
already
to them
said.
about it. I think we should talk to them about it for next Purim.
Cool.
But then I don't know. But then we probably wouldn't do Hanukkah, so let's think about that. But okay.
Okay.
And then between Purim and Pesach,
Oh
there
yeah,
was
you had like
I had
multiple tragedy strike.
It was just a lot of illness and kid illness. Everyone was
Yeah.
fine, but like Molly and I could not get. I was not able to record. We
It was
weren't
really bad. Yeah.
really, and also because of it, like I feel that I have read Texas Cowboy Sweetheart more than I've ever read any book in my life, because I kept feeling like I had to read it to talk to you about it, and then we
Yes,
postpone,
yes.
and then I get like another strep diagnosis, and then
Oy.
like a stomach bug, and then I was like, oh my god, I have to read Texas Cowboy Sweetheart again. So I have not done that for tonight, and I am very rusty on Texas Cowboy Sweetheart, though I do feel it's the book I've read the most in my whole life.
It's okay. We're gonna.
Okay.
I feel similarly. I think
Okay.
it's. I think.
Okay.
I think we're
Okay.
good to go.
Okay. But then I really want to hear how your Passover was.
Passover was really nice. I mean, I'll say, like, I don't know, like, how do your kids do well with the like a radical change in diet? Because like this year I felt like mine were just like grumpy the whole week because of the lack of just like carbohydrates.
So the thing is that when we're in a vacation house in Orlando, and my mother-in-law cooks
Nonstop.
prior to the week, no, but like prior to going, like cooks and freezes so much food before we even get there, because they have a Pesach kitchen in the basement. So like when I joke that Binny asks Alexa how many days until Passover every day for the year, it's like I feel like between my in-laws and my kid, like it's like Brigadoon. Like they talk about Passover 355 days a year to like, it's like, you know, sleepaway camp people are like live 10 for 2, like live these 10 months of school for the 2, really. That is like their whole life. Like my
Sure.
family, like they live like 350 something days a year for like the week of Pesach. Like,
And did it live up to the hype?
and so she loves it. She loves going. But because there's so much food like cooked in advance, and then there's like such a stocked pantry. I don't know how many freezers I could count, but there's like full chest freezers. There's multiple fridge and freezers just full.
Amazing.
In the pantry, there's like one box like cardboard box, just like filled with Pesach gummies.
Oh my God.
Must be hundreds of packs, and taffy and all this. And then another one just like filled with potato chips and all this stuff. And the thing is, I told you this before, but it's not just that they can't eat chametz or kitniot. It's like the house is right.
Yeah. Gebrox, of course.
So it's like and you know what day's the worst? That like purgatory day where it's like
you can't eat the matzah either. Yeah. That's there's literally I equate that day with like a hard-boiled egg in aluminum foil for some reason. Like it's just like everything is in aluminum foil and there's like a hard-boiled egg.
Yes, it's like there's nothing to eat that day.
I also learned this holiday that like Chabad's custom is not only that they obviously keep very strict Passover generally and don't have gebrox, but also they'll only eat fruits and vegetables where you can peel off the outer shell or skin.
Okay, so I'm thinking banana, apple, orange.
Yes, although like apples, I guess you would have to peel the apple, which is
but no berries, no grapes.
No berries, no grapes.
Mango, yes.
Mango,
this
yes.
is a podcast before I just list fruits I can think of that you can peel.
But vegetables too, like they can't eat
lettuce.
No lettuce. You could have.
Were you at a Chabad?
Yeah. Well, we just went there for one meal, but they were. I forget how we got into it. I was talking about something that I ate, and they were all kind of like, like it was. I mentioned some forbidden vegetable that was
like broccoli. Like you mentioned broccoli.
I think I must have mentioned broccoli, and they were like, well, and they were all kind of like. Oh yes, we had our seders. We got this catering from this amazing Yemenite chef Noam Zabari. He's done like catering for us before, and he made like all Yemenite style food. But
I love it. Did he make Yemenite chicken soup?
He made like 2 different kinds of Yemenite chicken. It wasn't soup, but it was so good. Some of it was that kind of like saucy chicken. He's amazing, so good. And he was kind of laughing at us because we had to school him on like kitniot because
because no cumin. He wanted to use cumin.
He wanted to use cumin, but he also wanted to use like all the stuff he would use, like no chickpeas, no corn. Like he couldn't make hummus, he couldn't make rice. He could, so he was kind of like okay. But he made us this Yemenite style charoset for the Seder that was like based on date paste. Oh, love. That was like the first thing to go. I got devoured. It was so good. So I was
This was in Brooklyn? Or
no, this was down in South Jersey. Yeah. But then we came back to Brooklyn for the second days, and we were telling we were like, here's something that the Chabad, we're always like, looking for common ground. And we're like, here's something they'll appreciate, an ethnic charoset. And as we're telling, I'm like, it's date paste based. And I was seeing them kind of being like, they were like, we don't eat dates. We can only have food that you take off the outer layer. And I was like, oh, wow. And that's how it started.
The idea that it could get even stricter than the way it gets is just so intense. And if I was doing Pesach at home, of course my kids would be grumpy and there would be nothing to eat because I wouldn't do the kind of cooking and preparing and just the overall grocery haul that the family does because they're expecting. There's so many of us there and it's for so many days and they just go so hard.
Right.
And there's sort of like this like inventory we take at the beginning, at the end, where like we want to see if we ate it all and like if my mother-in-law needs to like get more of certain things and less of other things the next year. And like it's kind of fun, but
I have a related question to ask you. So I saw on your Instagram that you went to Disney. Did you go to Disney World?
We went, yeah. Park hopper. We went crazy.
Is Disney World romantic, do you feel?
So Mitch and I have gone once. No, that's not true. More than once, just us before we had kids. But okay, because we are in Orlando every single Passover,
right?
And we're there for so many days, we'll end up we go for a day, But it's like
sure.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be the kind of person that goes on an annual Disney, pilgrimage. But because we're in Orlando any over Pesach, so Mitch and I were in Orlando once, maybe more. I mean, more than once before we were even engaged. And I feel like maybe in those early trips, like maybe there was some romance in
any trip
Disney.
With someone who you're
like there was Disney romance probably in like the early trips, but like. Is Disney romantic? I don't know. It's like there's a ton of people. There's a ton of lines. Like,
I just feel like it's a trope to have like a Disney World proposal and like the princess, the Cinderella castle and the fireworks. And I don't know, it seems to me like some people see it as romantic. Personally, it
but it's
doesn't
like
seem
if you
romantic
lift
to
the
me
veil,
at all.
Yeah, it's like if you lift the veil, it's like of that. Because someone today was like, wow, your trip looks so nice. And I was like, I think that was an Instagram trick of the eye because like there were like 40 of us there and it was really just a lot of chaos.
Right.
And like it was a like really chaotic family vacation with a lot of us. But like the Disney part for us was very fun, but because our kids had really good time and really that was fun for us. But romantic, I don't know. I really don't. I think people definitely think it is or feel like it is. And I think in our early trips we probably did, but that wasn't because of Disney.
Right. Right. That was
Yeah,
just
it's
because
like-
you were having fun together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you like lift the veil of it's like what's behind the picture of like the cute picture in front of Cinderella's castle. It's like tons of people and like kids who can't handle like the weight or the heat or pissed off parents. Like it's like really a crazy place with tons of people and tons of lines and
Totally.
it's hot. There's a lot of waiting.
A lot of
We
waiting.
had
a lot
so much fun though.
No, I'm
We
sure.
did.
Of course. If your kids are having fun, it's fun.
Oh, it was fun. And I felt happy that they weren't annoyed by the waiting. Like I was like, this is cool.
Yeah.
Like this could be very annoying and they could just be like complaining the whole time, but actually everyone's having a good time and loving it. And it's so cute watching Jonah have fun. Like
So
he's
sweet.
it's such a cute age and he's 2 and he was just like pointing and screaming and like so excited about stuff.
Love it.
It was great. We did a park hopper. It was really insane. We went to like 4 parks in one day, like absolute lunatics. And
I don't even know what that is. It's just like
it's
Disney
like
World
you can like
slang.
go to like it's like you can go to like a park, one park in a day. Like go to the Magic. Have you been to Disney?
Once when I was 12.
Okay, so you can go to the Magic Kingdom for a day. You go
Right.
to Epcot for a day.
Right. I
Or
think
you
we
can get, like-
right. I think I did that when I was 12. We did like one day of Magic Kingdom, one day of what's the like MGM.
It's called Hollywood Studios now, and it's amazing. But it was called MGM in those days, and wasn't.
Got it. And then one day of Epcot. I think that was our 3 days.
Yeah, that's what I used to do also as a kid. What Mitch and I did,
You did that
With-
all in one day.
yeah, like across
Wow.
all in one day across 2 days, 2 separate days. But it was really crazy pants and also really fun because we have the house there with family. We did this last year also where after we were kind of ready to eat dinner, like have a nice kosher Pesach dinner and tuck Jonah in, we went back to the house, ate dinner, tucked Jonah in for the night, went back to Disney
That's
till
fun.
closing
Very fun.
with Binny,
Sweet.
which
Right.
is A, completely crazy pants, but B, extremely fun.
No, so fun. Yeah, it's great.
And that to me like does feel like Disney when it's dark and there's fireworks and the lights are so beautiful and it's like really not as hot because it's like almost like a little bit cool in the air. Like that does feel like more and it's also less busy, like more romantic / fun and just like it was really nice.
Cool.
Yeah, really, really nice. Pesach in Orlando's nuts.
I can imagine.
I really think you guys would have fun. I was thinking about it while I was there. It's
I'm
like
sure.
yeah, it's like the kids, you have everyone in a house. You got a pool. There's like minions everywhere and people all over the place and things to do. Like it's like an Orthodox takeover of Orlando.
That sounds really great. Anything
And there's-
wherever, yeah. Pesach is such an inconvenient holiday that anything that ups the convenience factor is like just wonderful. I'm a
Well,
chaya.
the thing about it is that in my mind, it's quite inconvenient. Like a Pesach program where you're going to a hotel or whatever. We've spoken about them before.
Sure.
That seems extremely convenient, easy. Everything's there. The tea room. We've talked about this.
Yes.
But like in Pesach in Orlando at a vacation home, it's like refrigerated trucks are like bringing food from Glotmart and like Moshe's in Brooklyn. Refrigerated trucks from Brooklyn.
You got to do what you got to do.
That doesn't sound convenient to me. Like having to get pots and pans, matzah, kitchen koshering,
No,
kosher
it's
wine.
not. But I guess the point is, aren't you kind of just coming and reaping the
Oh.
benefits of this?
Oh, for me, I'm just
Yeah.
showing up. I'm
Yeah,
just showing up.
that's
I'm
what's
just showing up.
amazing.
I'm eating the most delicious cabbage and meat cabbage and meat thing that my mother-in-law makes. My mother, like, Sarah makes like a tray of food for before the Seder because the Seder starts so late and everyone's so starving all Seder. So there's like a pre-Seder. There's like a pre-Seder tray.
Genius.
I think that might have been someone else's tradition, like maybe her mother's tradition, but like there is a pre-Seder giant tinfoil pan of my favorite unstuffed cabbage before it
Delicious.
starts.
Yeah, I made the rookie mistake of not serving the kids like an early dinner the first night. What was I thinking? I don't know. They had, I don't know. And then it all devolved very rapidly.
How late do you go?
Oh, we didn't go that late, but like it's late for kids to anytime past like 6 when the kids haven't eaten. I don't know. No, we went, I don't know. How late did we go? Like 10, 11? Yeah, like that.
It starts so late in Florida. It's like,
Right.
it starts, then they go to a minion, then they come back.
Oh, yeah.
It takes
Well,
forever.
we didn't do like a halachic start time. I think if you're going to really do that, like the second night Seder starts at like 9 p.m.
Yeah, it ends at like 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm asleep for at least like 6 hours before they end.
Yes.
Bye.
Yes. Yes. Right. No, it's not for wimps.
It's not. And Binny's not a wimp. She stays up way past me. She stays up for the whole thing. It is
Wow.
really, she's into it. But anyway, it was fun and completely crazy pants, and honestly would be a great book, but not a great romance, more like a great like family saga, like a very different type of book. Like Pesach in Orlando has such rich material. It's so specific and quirky and would be a
No,
great
but I
book.
feel like it really could be a good romance book for the. I mean, like it's like the generations of family and like the minces and like what Passover means to them and going down there, and then Mitch, and he's a single guy, but then he brings Rachel and she's so excited and it's all fresh to her and he sees it through fresh eyes because of her, and they have their children. It's the next generation. That's very romantic.
Beautiful, stunning.
I'd read it.
Yeah, it's good stuff. It really is. And it's just like, you know how I feel about foods in books, but like the Pesach foods and just what I'm describing, like these cardboard boxes of potato chips. And
see, the thing about the Pesach food is that like it can be so bad that when it's good, it's like even more, it feels like a miracle that it's so good, because I feel like I went to work today for the first time, and I took off all of Passover. So I was at work today for the first time in like 2 weeks, and my colleagues, almost none of whom are Jewish and none of whom are, observant at all, had a box of those like rokeach fruit slices on the table, like where we usually have like work snacks. And I was like, who brought these? And they were like, we wanted to try them. It was like their ethnic, like they wanted to like venture out. And I was like, why? And they were all like, yeah, they're not so.
The jelly slices?
The jelly slices.
They
and
didn't
I was like,
think what.
I was like, I don't know why you would, of all the things to pick to try, like even the box, it's like, I never really looked at it through, like I was kind of scrutinizing it, and it has this huge banner that says artificially flavored. And I was like, when that's the main selling point, it's not going anywhere good.
No, it's not. I didn't have a single one this year.
Yeah.
No, I didn't have a single one of those this year, but there's a really good Pesach tortilla chip.
Huh. What's it made out of?
The brand is cassava flour, I think. That it's Heaven and Earth brand. It's like a grain-free tortilla chip that's like a grain-free tortilla chip all year round. It's not meant for Pesach.
Yes.
It's
my kids found this at the Chabad house that we were at. They like raided that family's like treat stash, and they were just like they went crazy. And I saw Mushka was having those cassava chips.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah.
We found that foods that Seth had gotten, Mitch's little brother had bought when he went food shopping for Pesach for the family, for the house. He got these like non-gebrux, gluten-free frozen pizza doughs and onion bagels. And on like the second to last, like it's like the holiday's about to end, and I'm like, there's a lot of food in the house. Like we should start making some of this. So we put the pizza doughs and the onion bagels in the oven to like get a little warm and soft, and then I made a tray of pizza bagels and yummy pizza, because we can't have matzah pizza because of the gebrux.
Right, gebrux. Oh wow! And
so
how were they?
So we honestly delicious. Onion. I don't know if I had like Pesach colored glasses on.
Sure.
But it was like
that sounds fun.
Pretty fun, pretty good, pretty good. But yeah, I need more of those tortilla chips next year because I need to make a tray of Pesach nachos.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's like the kitniot for me, really, is what I miss more than anything else.
Oh yeah, it's a whole other. I have to admit, I'll confess. Like when we decided to have that Yemenite catering, there was a minute where we were like, should we just
100%.
go
You 100%
Sephardi?
should.
Like we had
Yeah.
a moment, but I think then I think we just like caved to peer pressure. You know, we were having guests and like most of the people we know were Ashkenaz, and I think people would have been. I think if it had just been us, we might have just done it. But
Like the idea of being able to have delicious rice at every meal.
It's like, what are you even missing then? Yeah, it's
Nothing.
totally different. It's totally different. But alas.
Alas, here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Pesach's over. We didn't do a Pesach book this year. We'll see what we do next year. There are plenty.
I know.
There are plenty. But anything else to catch up on before we talk about Texas Cowboy Sweetheart?
I think this was fairly thorough. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. If anything else comes up, we'll get to talk about it next episode.
Sure.
Okay, so Texas Cowboy Sweetheart is the first of the Stars of Texas series by Rebecca Crowley, who's written a few Jewish romances or romances with Jewish characters.
Okay.
And Rebecca reached out to me about this book.
And she said it was the first Jewish cowboy western romance. Is that true? I have no idea, but I buy it.
I believe her. I do.
Yeah.
Now, did you notice anything about the cover? When I posted the cover,
yeah,
Mitch's sister Esther, Auntie S, was like, love her Jewish star bracelet.
Oh my God,
So
I'm looking at it now.
On the cover,
I see.
Josie Starr is wearing a Jewish star, a Star of David around her wrist as
so
she hugs her.
Because
her
at the
love.
time I was like, this is a very generic, not particularly Jewish looking cover, but she's right. Wow.
Yep. Love that.
Totally.
Okay, here's the thing about this book.
Yes.
I find so many, I find a lot of different scenes, settings, things sexy.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I remember I was in Banff for the first time and I was like, are there romances set in Banff? It's so sexy here. I'm in like a random small town in Bucks County, Pennsylvania called Peddler's Village. Have you ever been there, by the way?
No.
It's like so cute. Do your kids like Harry Potter?
Yeah.
There's like a whole Harry Potter themed store in this place called Peddler's Village in Bucks County.
Cool.
It's just so cute there. It's like such a witchy little town. Anyway, I'm like in this random town. I'm like, this place is so cute. This place is so sexy. There should be romance here. Like everywhere I go, I'm like, this would be a good scene in a book. That would be a good scene in the book. What I learned in this book is that I do not find like cattle. Cattle farms or ranchers sexy.
Interesting.
It's not my thing.
That's very interesting.
I'm not into cattle and farming.
You're not into cattle and farming.
I'm not.
Okay, say more. Why is that? Because I
First of all,
feel like that's like a classic romance trope.
Right, but it's like I was not into this farm, these trucks, this like big, like so much land and no other people around. Like I feel it was very smelly in my head. I feel that the cattle it was a stinky farm.
Right. There was that one scene where she like rescues a cow and her shirt gets torn.
Yeah.
And he was like overcome with like lust because her like body was showing in some way or whatever. But she was holding like a baby calf or like something.
I know that any of our animal lovers, any of our Western, you might have Texans who listen, like people who love the South, I'm not yucking anyone's yum. Like I'm not Southern Jews.
Sure.
I'm not yucking anyone's yum. And like if any of this sounds like it would be sexy to you, like this is the perfect book for you. It's just that I noticed about myself that I didn't find a cattle farm or ranch, the Lone Star Ranch, like, didn't do it for me. But it wasn't because of the book. It wasn't because of her writing. It wasn't because of their connection. It wasn't because of the characters. It was because of the cows.
Just cows are a turn off.
Just like farms filled with cows that are going to be raised to produce meat or be meat or produce milk, like cow milk. And by the way, I once, you know how there was a scene with like a cow auction?
Yes.
I went to the National Western Stock Show once in Colorado.
Okay.
I went with an ex. Like, I once saw, it was like a family outing. They like went to this National Western Stock Show. And like, you gotta come with us. It's like this week. This is our tradition. We go to the National Western Stock Show. And it was like giant cows and these like auctioneers. Oh, there was another revelation I didn't share with you between the last episode and now. I'll tell you about in a moment.
Okay.
It's related. It's related, not romantic, but related to the word auctioneer.
Great.
And they'd be like describing the cow. This story is over 20 years. It's a 21-year-old story. So like I am definitely rusty on like what happened at the National Western Stock Show, but it was like an auctioneer, but like they would describe the cow and her like genealogy, you know, the cow's parents, what kind of meat, I don't know, meat, milk, I have no recollection. And be like,
oh, and it was a guy talking like that. We got a Stetson here.
And like all these people, like
right,
ranchers, ranchers bidding on these just like giant, smelly cows.
Totally.
And like I'm like watching these like ranchers,
was the family all like
unsexy ranchers bidding on cows.
Right.
Anyway, I was reminded of that smelly experience and thinking, this book is this book is set in a smelly setting.
Right, smelly setting.
A lot. I'm sorry, that was so long-winded, dear listeners.
No, it wasn't. I hear you.
What did you think?
I mean, I wasn't thinking so much about the smells. I felt like I didn't. This kind of reminded me of like, do you remember that movie? Did you ever see that movie with Diane Keaton where she like randomly like inherits her cousin's baby? There's like this 80s movie with Diane Keaton where she's like this high-powered career woman, and then all of a sudden she gets a call that like her cousins died and they left her something in their will and they're gonna bring it to the airport.
It's not ringing a bell.
Whatever. It's like her cousins. She gets this call. Her cousins died, like who she's never met. They're gonna bring it to the airport, and then it's like an infant that they like left her.
Okay.
And she's just like. She like is gonna give it up for adoption, but then she's like, no, I should keep it. And then she's just like, oh, I should get a nanny. Oh, I can't leave a baby with a nanny. I'm just going to quit my corporate job and like move to a farm.
Oh yeah, that's what Josie Starr does in this book.
Right. So like from the get-go, I was just like, I was kind of annoyed. Like I was like, how could she do this? Like she has, the whole beginning is like, it was almost like the writing was too good. Like I really was buying into her like as this corporate like woman climbing the ladder of success. Then all of a sudden she was like, oh, never mind. I quit. Farewell, old life. I'm going back to be a rancher. And already I was like, but why though? Like really? Like who would live their life?
Because her dad was sick, right?
Because her dad was sick and it was time for her to take over. But the whole idea that like she was building this whole career, but it was all for like she knew that like at the drop of any hat,
she was going to work on the ranch.
She was going to abandon the whole thing. Like it just felt so. Already, I was like, I didn't relate to her. I felt.
Right. No, not me either.
And so it was less to me about the set. It was less to me about the setting and more just that I didn't relate to the premise. Right.
So let's say I feel like in another scenario, I could read a book and there's like a character who is drawn to go back to wherever or like the big city, or it's never the big city. It's always the hometown, but like they quit and they get there and something happens. Like, because in this case, like she gets there and her best friend forever, her best friend for life,
right?
Who's who's been running the ranch? Like he's the caretaker of the ranch,
right? He's the caretaker who like her dad took under his wing and like basically was like a surrogate father to it, kind of seemed like, and he has kind of become the like right hand man.
Right. But they also have a history of being very close friends.
Right. But always platonic.
Right. Friends to lovers is the trope
This is
here.
friends to lovers, yes.
This is friends to lovers.
Big time. Friends to lovers with some smelly cows in the background. But, yeah, what were you going to say? You could imagine another scenario where that happens.
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe there's a scenario where that happens and
I guess it's just
because I find it sexy, maybe it's more, maybe you like it more. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. If we go back to Roz's, aphorism that the plot doesn't have to be believable, it's the emotions that have to be believable. I found this book fun to read. It was a quick read. I went through it quickly. I thought it was fun, but I don't know if I felt like the central emotions were so believable. That sort of, I don't know, that all of a sudden their relationship just seems sort of to click sort of too perfectly.
I also felt there were no conflicts. We had this in another book where there was no conflict.
Right.
I was like, wait, all of a sudden, what's happening here? I guess there was a little bit of not a conflict, but at a certain point they decide to double date.
But that was just because they were going along with this thing where they were just friends, and then they were sort of slowly, I guess, he kind of realized that he was in love with her, but I guess also she's his boss, so that was supposed to be the conflict.
Oh, right, I see.
She's his boss, and she's also kind of taken over the thing that he's been working on for 20 years. So I think that was supposed to be the conflict.
Right. But they were really into each other. They start having sex.
It's great. Everything's great. Were the cows, and the cows weren't involved in the sex though, were they?
No, it's just that the setting in general was just I just discovered about myself, so that doesn't do it for me.
There was a sex in the barn scene though, right? Wasn't there?
Yes, there was. I highlighted it. I have never read a book more times than I have read Texas Cowboy Sweetheart, again, because we almost recorded this episode across 2 months so many times, and I kept reading it, and every time I highlighted more and more text that I wanted to read out loud to you on the podcast. One of them definitely had to do with the sex in the barn. Okay, I'll try to find it.
You can find it. I mean, I guess I just felt if I had to compare. Okay, so remember? Oh my gosh, remember in Sadie on a Plate where they were making out in the back of the restaurant, in the supply closet, and there were zucchinis falling, and I don't know, that felt sort of it was a physically uncomfortable place to be fooling around, but because I felt like I was really invested in them as a couple and they had good chemistry, it felt uncomfortable in a sexy way, whereas I feel like this barn scene just felt uncomfortable in an uncomfortable way.
Yeah.
All that straw is all stabby. I don't know.
I really agree. In terms of it being a fun read, it is. And again, I cannot overstate that I've never read a book so many times.
Right.
So it's I've read it so many times, it's almost hard to even see it clearly. It's really, if any of this stuff sounds like it would be fun, I really do recommend it. But also, this is she's Jewish.
Yeah, and I actually did find the Jewish angle to be interesting. I wanted more about that, and the book kind of ends on sorry if I'm skipping to the end, but I feel the book sort of ends with a cliffhanger on the whole Jewish journey that they're on, and I legitimately would read the sequel because I'm interested in not so much the main romance, but in how the whole Jewish angle pans out.
Yeah, I am too. Tell us more about the cliffhanger.
Well, so the whole thing was that, obviously, so she knows that this main character knows that she's Jewish and grew up with definitely a strong Jewish identity, but also sort of a strange one to me because it seems like they were literally the only Jews in a they're on a ranch, so it's lots of space, lots of acreage, a rural area, and it seems like they're literally the only Jewish people. And
because they were homesteaders, the generation before her they were homesteaders, so it's literally living off the land.
Right, but
no one around.
Right, but like ranches also are huge. It's not like homesteading with like a little couple acres of like a big garden. It's
huge
like
ranches.
cattle grazing on huge amounts of land.
A
And
prosperous cow-calf operation.
there you go. And I do find these like these like Jews ending up in random parts of America. Well, what's like to me, I was always like Jews came to America, they settled in New York City, they worked in factories on the Lower East Side, they, you know, moved up in society, they moved to the suburbs. Like that's the Jewish story in America. And then like, you know, I learned about like our family's Jewish history and starting a farm community in South New Jersey. And I learned about how there's all these other immigration stories where Jews came to these other types of communities in America. And I just find that very interesting because it's so foreign to everything that I learned in quite a substantial Jewish education that never touched on any of this. So I just find that very interesting. Like, how did her grandfather wind up as like a Texas rancher? Like, and what kind of a Jewish identity did they have when they're literally the only Jews? Like, how are they Jews without a Jewish community, with no Jewish community? Like, and
well, it's interesting because there was another character that we read about who was a Jew from Texas with a very little limited Jewish identity, which was in Chaya T. Hirsch's book.
Oh, right.
Wasn't he Jewish?
Yes. Good call. Interesting.
And I thought that was like Chaya T. Hirsch. Like Chaya T. Hirsch and Rebecca Crowley are two very different people.
Sure.
But like I thought that, like I saw that as Chaya T. Hirsch, like really not understanding Gentiles or like secular Jews at all. Secular Jews, really, whether Gentiles. Yeah.
Right.
And
totally.
like and like writing this character that was Jewish but didn't know it.
Right.
But like
maybe that is actually a real type.
Maybe.
Although these so again, and then like the central so their mom married their dad, and the sister, so it's Josie has two sisters. The mom has died a while ago, and now their dad is sick. And they always thought that their mom's, I think, family cut her off because she married their dad who was poor or like not wealthy enough, which doesn't really make any sense because he seems like he has this prosperous cow-calf operation. So how poor could he have been? But then over the course of the book, she learns that actually her mom's family cut her off because they weren't Jewish, and they were angry at her for marrying, they were upset at her for marrying a Jew. And
right.
They're really, the sisters are just like really interested by this story and like, what does it mean? And like, how did their mom go from like being this, you know, Christian, I guess, to like being what they saw as like this very high, you know, identified Jewish woman who like lit Shabbat candles and, you know, raised them as Jewish children, whatever that means when there's no other Jews around. I don't really know. But I think then the end ends with like, they finally compose like this email and send this letter to like a relative of their mom's who they had never been in touch with. And they're sort of like waiting for her response because they think she's this one relative who didn't break contact with her mom and might have more to tell them. But then the book ends like on that.
So we have to see the second installment. But the one thing about this whole anti-Semitic storyline and through line is that there's like so much shock surrounding it. Like here's a part I copied, I highlighted. You remember, it's a conversation between the sisters. You remember mom and dad met at a fraternity party at Texas Tech, right? And then supposedly mom gleefully went home to Amarillo over spring break to tell her parents she found the man she wanted to marry, only for them to freak out that he was like a poor farmer instead of the guy she dated in high school from some fancy local family who was still pining after her. I did always think that was weird. The Lone Star was big enough and it was doing fine. Plus, it's Amarillo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right because it's two L's. How much of a snob can you be? It's weird because it's not the real reason. What is? The details are a little hazy. Her sister-in-law is referring to the things they both know about, so not everything is fully explained. But they didn't disapprove of dad because he was poor. They disapproved because he was Jewish. Josie's jaw dropped. But it's like, Josie's jaw dropping? Well, I knew, and whatever, that was me giving an anecdote. I'm skipping. Now I'm going back to the text. I knew mom converted, but this makes it sound like she was raised in a pretty hardcore evangelical church, and she didn't lose contact with her parents. They disowned her. Josie snapped her fingers. Remember Dad told us at their wedding that the rabbi talked about the story of the tzaddik warrior and the non-Jewish woman? Georgia nodded eagerly. How he saw sparks of holiness in her? It makes sense. We always knew Mom converted, but the circumstances, my God. It's wild, especially to think that it wasn't that long ago that people could still care so much about something like that. But it's like, this is me again now talking?
Yeah.
How is this so shocking to them?
Right. And also,
This
what does
feels-
it mean that she didn't lose contact with her parents? Who loses contact with their parents? Like that, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not like we're in a war. Like you only lose contact if you choose to stop communicating. Like, I don't know what,
Right.
I don't understand what they thought. What they thought doesn't make any sense at all. Like, if they had no contact, it's because they chose to have no contact.
How could it be anything other than the fact that it's because she converted to Judaism? Because the
Right.
thing is, like, it is a big deal.
Sure.
If you're raised one way
Yeah.
and make a decision to convert to a completely other religion, culture, it's a big deal.
Especially if you live in like such a monolithic culture where like everyone is one thing and your kid meets the one person who's not that thing.
Right. So the shock surrounding it, it's like, I think it's very cool that this storyline is in a romance, right? Like, and a romance like this. Like, I think it's very cool that the storyline's in there.
Yes.
But the shock seems confusing to me.
Right.
Because then later she like tells the story to Easton, the best friend love interest.
Right.
And he's also like, that's disgusting. That like, he can't believe it. But it's like, you can't believe it?
Right. How's it so
It-
unbelievable? Right. What I can't believe is that you guys like having sex in a barn so much. Right. Like it's a weirdly, like, it's a weird
It's like,
reaction.
you can't believe that a church going,
Right. Christian from Amarillo would be upset that their daughter married a Jew.
it seems,
Seems pretty, would be surprised if it was otherwise.
right.
Right. Right. So that's a situation where it's sort of like I don't know, this like, it's almost like the opposite. Like I find the plot interesting, but the emotions are so not interesting or
Yeah.
sort of so not
Believable, maybe.
believable that it kind of, yeah. Kind
Yeah,
of
I
dilutes
do
the
like-
whole thing.
Right. Right. I think, because I don't know, like a real conversation about that and how they feel and kind of always sensing it, or I don't know, a real conversation about that would be really interesting.
Right. And then
Because it-
otherwise, the actual, like the romance between Josie and Easton gets tied up like very neatly. Like for a second, he's like, okay, I just need to leave and go somewhere else and forget all about her. But then she just comes and like proposes the perfect solution. And he's like, oh, great. And then they're together and they like, he's like buying into an interest in the farm and like everything is great. Or the ranch, whatever.
But honestly, like, I don't need so much angst and conflict. Like, I don't mind a story where it's like, it's all working out. It's like, they like each other, they're attracted to each other, they have a great kiss, they have great sex, it's all good. I'm good. I don't know if I need the conflict.
Really interesting. Really? But then what makes that interesting?
Well, like, in this case, I don't know. Maybe I needed the conflict, but like, in general, I'm saying like, I don't know, like with the, what did we just recently read that didn't have so much conflict except trees, Hot Lumberjack?
Oh, right. That's true.
I don't think it bothered me. I mean, we
Right.
discussed it, that there wasn't much conflict, but like,
Right. It was still, yeah.
Right.
Right. You're right.
but
I guess there the emotions felt more, I don't
yeah,
know.
so
Le-
yeah, for sure. There was a lot going on. There was
Yeah.
a lot going on with Elon and Abby.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, but I did want to say some things about this.
Yeah.
When he decides to go to another like ranch,
Right.
there's like weird corporate things involved in that ranch that are different than like his old school, and like the way that she writes about the corporate stuff.
Yeah, like he's doing some kind of like HR training for ranchers
Like,
or something.
It made me laugh so much. Like I feel like it was just like spreadsheets. Like
Right.
I don't know what the words were that were just like weird corporate sounding. I don't know. I work in nonprofit. I'm bad at that stuff, but like
That's
it was
funny.
very, very funny to me. Like his HR training and like log in and like things that were happening when he had to when he switched to a different
Right. Like it was a big
ran.
salary, but it was like at the sacrifice of like the old school culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
It made me laugh. It made me laugh. So yeah, I highlighted and bookmarked a lot of pages.
Oh, I see. There's this part where he says like, he gathered up the beef price analysis dossiers.
I was laughing.
He'd been sent from the corporate office. Yeah, all those dossiers.
I just found it to be.
That's really funny.
It was such a highlight for me. It was so funny because they were kind of running a very old school.
Right. There were no dossiers where they were coming from.
No.
That's really funny.
Yeah, I highlighted all the sex scenes.
Okay.
If anyone feels like hearing it, if anyone doesn't feel like hearing it, I would say skip ahead a few seconds because I'm going to read a paragraph to Malya.
Please.
From I don't know if this is the first sex scene or not.
There were a couple.
I can't even read this. I'm sorry.
Okay, don't. Never mind.
Here's some sentences come from it. She was flushed and feverish and throbbing. She fought with the button on her jeans, shimmied them and her panties halfway down her thighs, then gripped Easton's wrist and I can't even.
Okay. It's okay. I'm cringing, honestly. You don't have to go on.
But there is.
But why?
I have to tell you. So you go first. William says, "Don't leave us hanging." Read the book if you want to hear what happens. Read the book. There's a lot of sex.
I think we all know what happens.
Wait, what were you going to say, Malya? Why did I highlight it?
No, yeah. Why did you highlight it? And also, what's making it so cringy? I don't even know if I could put my finger on it.
Let me keep going. Then I'm skipping ahead.
Do it.
This is happening, and just like that, she was culpable, indisputably aware of what they were about to do, sufficiently sober and detached to stop it. Josie closed her eyes briefly, praying this wasn't the biggest mistake of her life. She reopened them to find Easton rolling the condom on what absolutely was the biggest cock she'd ever had the good fortune of encountering.
Good fortune.
He must have heard her swift intake of breath because he eased down beside her, the stiff length pressed into her thigh. I just can't. What is making it so cringy? I don't know. We read so many sex scenes in these books.
I really can't put my finger on it. Good fortune.
Tell me to stop or slow down or go straight to hell, whatever you want.
Oh, no. I guess I don't really understand why it's so fraught. Like, why is she so conflicted?
Yeah, I guess I thought about that also. It's like I remember we talked about this in our very first book that we ever read, the K.K. Hendon book, where it was like a cute colleague,
right?
And we were like, "What's the big deal? Like, you live in the same building, you work together. Like, you're both Upper West Side young Jewish professionals who observe in the exact same way. Like,
right?
Get it?
Right? It's fine. In that case, yeah."
And in this case, like, these are two single people.
They know they love each other. They're best friends.
They get along. They're attracted to each other. They're both single.
It's the biggest cock she's ever had the good fortune to see. I mean, like, what's wrong here? Like, what's to be?
It's the boss thing. It's the boss thing.
The boss thing, right? But it's like she is the boss. It's like it's not like she's the boss in some corporate hierarchy. Like it's the boss of just a family business.
It's like exactly like it's not like exactly.
There's like 4 other farm hands.
There's no HR department.
Exactly. Like yeah. Okay.
How can anyone taste this good was her last coherent thought before lust filled her mind, completely crowding out everything else. Easton was strong arms and scratchy stubble, black coffee and peppermint, damp flannel and soft denim, and it wasn't nearly enough, not even close. By the way, I actually love that. Strong arms, scratchy stubble, black coffee, peppermint, damp flannel, soft denim.
Sounds great.
That's great. That works for me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It is a really detailed sex scene.
There were a couple
and,
of those, yeah.
They were all over each other, grabbing, tasting, squeezing. There's just it's detailed. It's detailed.
Right.
Frenzied. A lot of words going on here. But yeah, I don't know. I highlighted a lot. It's again. Remember, I read this book many times.
Yeah. You really got into it. You got inside it. Is there an audiobook for this?
I don't think so. I feel like maybe we would have. I don't think there is.
Right.
So here's the thing: if cattle and cows and ranches and this kind of like Jewish Texas storyline, some anti-Semitism, some family drama, sisters, double dates, some double dating scenes.
And there is this thing where like he's always dated girls who are like wrecks and need him to save them. And now like this is finally like a woman who like doesn't need saving. She's competent. She's self-possessed. So like I feel like I feel like that's kind of that could be an appealing dynamic.
Yes, for sure. If any of that sounds appealing.
This is for you.
Many of those things I wouldn't relate to, except smelly cows.
Jews in interesting alternative sort of settings.
A Jew on a ranch?
Jew on a ranch. It's cool.
Jew on a ranch.
Yeah.
It is. Here's the thing. It would be cool if he was also a Jew on a ranch.
Right. He's really not a Jew.
It's like if he was another Jew on a ranch, or he had a single Jew, one of his parents were Jewish, or a grandparent, and then he had a storyline. He was like, I never knew I was Jewish, but every time someone in my family died, they lit a candle, whatever. I love those stories.
Totally.
It's like that would be really cool, and then they connect over this thing that like he ends up having. It's that there's he's a quarter Jewish, and it was one grandparent. I don't know.
Right, some added layer.
I would love that. Not because I like reading stories about interfaith couples. It's not that I don't. It's just like then they would maybe connect in that other way, and it adds. I would be interested in that.
Yeah, I would have given, I think that's what we're saying about no conflict. Maybe it didn't have to be conflict, but, it needed some other, grit.
Yeah. Yeah. But there is stubble. There's a lot of flannel. There's a lot of tipping of the hat.
Oh, yeah.
He's, wearing a hat and, tips his hat. He's, sitting in a chair and, there's a lot of lounging and hat tipping and in cars, a lot of cars. They're in trucks a lot.
Which, I get that that's sexy. It's very masculine.
Yeah, gentlemanly.
Right. He is gentlemanly.
Mm-hmm. He's not problematic in any way.
No.
Although these characters act so old.
How old is
Why
he
do
supposed to
characters, these are people in their 20s that, act, very old to me.
Right. He's, world weary, this guy.
And it's she's already, lived a whole life, worked, climbed the corporate ladder, quit her job dramatically,
He's, ready to settle down, but, maybe in Amarillo, you gotta settle down. What else are you... it's just a different... Actually, years ago, Sammy had a babysitter from Amarillo who had, married her high school sweetheart. It was that they were actually very cute. They were from Amarillo. They were high school sweethearts. They came to New York to have an adventure, but then they moved back to Amarillo to run the community theater program that they both
that's cool.
did together in high school and loved or something like that. Very cute.
That's cool.
So
that is the romance.
Yeah, totally. They would be a cute romance, and I just feel like maybe, I don't know, outside New York, I think people have a different timeline for romances. Maybe people expect to be coupled off much earlier.
Maybe. He seems like he's lived a lot of life.
Right. Well, he had a whole hard luck story, right? He was his mom was a single mom. She had him really young, right? Didn't he have a whole sort of tale? Yeah.
There's exes.
Right.
He was, at one point he sees Josie walking up and he thinks it might be Kayla, his ex, but,
Yep.
She's still popping around.
Right. That's fun. The run into the ex. There was a run into the ex scene.
Yeah, I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy it. I enjoy that. I enjoy her sisters. And I actually would like to read more of Rebecca Crowley's books.
Totally.
I'm curious about the others.
I'm curious how the story plays out. Like the cliffhanger got me.
Very often in these series, the next book's about another couple.
Oh, but maybe it'll pick up the like maybe
Yeah, like
another
it'll
one
be
of the
about one of her sisters.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Totally.
It'll be about a sister, and so you'll still he'll hear the resolution about this.
One sister was a DA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anything else on this?
No, I think that was pretty thorough.
Yeah, I think so too. I do want to read another one of her. There's some other books related to holidays also of hers. So as we go through the holidays, in the coming months, we could take a look at that also. But
Great.
Rebecca, thank you for reaching out.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a listener. Thank you for sharing this book with us.
Absolutely.
Mal, do you want to pick our next book on this episode like we did in the past?
Yes, let's do it.
So there's a lot of Jewish romance books out there. I wouldn't say we have a holiday coming up that we want to focus on, do you? That we would maybe have a...
No, not specifically.
Okay, so I'm gonna share some general romance books, Jewish romance. See what you think.
Okay.
And we'll pick one together.
Great.
That we're gonna read. Listeners, we have not discussed this.
This
at all.
is real.
Okay, so there's a book called Late Night Love, and based on the description, it seems to me like it might be a little bit. It's like a set in a fake SNL world, like romantic comedy was. But I loved that book.
Really sexy.
Oh, that book was
Mm-hmm.
Curtis Sittenfeld romantic comedy. No Jewish represent. No, there is a Jew in the book. That funny, the Danny Hork.
Oh,
the
right,
friend,
right. Yeah, sure.
The one who was like dating the Ariana Grande character.
Yeah. The one the rule was about.
The Rule.
Yeah.
The Danny Hork Rule.
Right.
Theory or whatever it was called. He was Jewish. But anyway, the two main characters aren't, and we're not talking about that book on this episode. But
no.
There's a book called Late Night Love by Kayla Wolfberg.
Okay.
And she reached out to us. This is the description. She has her dream job, but her co-host is a nightmare. Emily Beckerman has the dream job as a writer on Live from New York, a world-famous sketch comedy show. But what she really wants is to write for the legendary Weekend Update segment. When it becomes clear that the current host will never give her that chance, Emily takes matters into her own hands and replaces one of their jokes with her own. She never expected that her moment of revenge would cause an on-air meltdown that got the show's head writer fired. Emily is even more surprised to learn that she's going to be his replacement because Live from New York is dangerously close to being canceled. The only problem is Chris Galloway, the other update host and head writer. Emily and Chris are both convinced that they know the best way to save the show, and neither of them is happy about being forced to work together. But Chris isn't who Emily thought he was, and when their animosity gives way to white-hot chemistry, she realizes that Live from New York isn't the only thing at risk.
Okay, that sounds good.
I don't know. Kayla reached out. She said that there's Jewish representation, so obviously Emily Beckerman is Jewish. I don't know how much Judaism is woven into this book, but Kayla specifically reached out.
Okay, cool.
So I think that she must think, as an author,
that this is appropriate.
This is appropriate.
Fair.
As a Jewish romance.
Right.
Then we have never read on this podcast any of the Jean Meltzer books. She's, I would say, almost like the biggest Jewish romance author to have hit the mainstream.
Oh.
She wrote a book called The Matzah Ball. She wrote a book called Mr. Perfect on Paper. She wrote a book called Kissing Kosher.
Okay.
And there's another one coming out in August called Magical Meet Cute. Matzah Ball is Hanukkah related. Mr. Perfect on Paper, I'm happy to read the description to you. I haven't read it yet. And Kissing Kosher is about a Jewish bakery family drama. Should I read any of these descriptions to you? Because a Jean Meltzer book would be a natural fit for the podcast.
Sure.
I'm going to read you Kissing Kosher.
Great.
We've read other books about family bakeries.
Oh, that Jonah Platt movie was all about that.
Yes, but also the one that took place in New Jersey. With the karaoke scene.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Step 1. This is Kissing Kosher by Jean Meltzer. Step 1, get the secret recipe. Step 2, don't fall in love. Avital Cohen isn't wearing underpants, woefully, for unsexy reasons. Chronic pelvic pain has forced her to sideline her photography dreams and her love life. It's all she could do to manage her family's kosher bakery, Best Babka in Brooklyn, without collapsing. She needs hired help. And distractingly handsome Ethan Lippman seems like the perfect fit. Except Ethan isn't there to work. He's undercover at the behest of his iron-fisted grandfather. Though Lippman's is a household name when it comes to mass-produced kosher baked goods, they don't have the charm of Avital's bakery or her grandfather's world-famous pumpkin spice babka recipe. As they bake side by side, Ethan soon finds himself more interested in Avital than in stealing family secrets, especially as he helps her find the chronic pain relief and pleasure she's been missing. But perfecting the recipe for romance calls for leaving out the lies, even if coming clean means risking everything. Pumpkin spice babka? That is weird.
Right. It's
But okay. Separate from the fact that pumpkin spice is a newer phenomenon and wouldn't be an age-old family secret. Let's leave that aside.
That's fine. I'm willing to do that.
Okay. That's one option.
Cool.
If we have to suspend the pumpkin spice thing. That's an option. Kissing Kosher by Jean Meltzer.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. And then should I read you so we did
two. That was two options.
Late night love.
Right.
A Jean Meltzer. And then I was wondering if we feel like it might be time to revisit another Chaya T. Hirsch book.
Oh, that's a different direction. Is there one you have in mind?
Yeah. An Unlikely Match we didn't read yet, right?
No.
Was that the one?
I don't think so.
What did we read? When Orthodox Jew Batsheva Friedman moves into her new apartment, she's finally ready for some freedom and independence from her parents. During her first Shabbos with her new roommates, she meets Moshe Binyamin, her roommate's brother's best friend. MB's quirky, immature, definitely not someone Batsheva could see herself settling with. But the more time she spends with him, the more she realizes there's more to him than his childish side. When her former classmates decide to have a reunion, Batsheva is conflicted. As the only unmarried one in her grade, she's not sure she's up for seeing her childhood friends. MB comes up with a perfect plan to pretend to be married so Batsheva can join the reunion. But that's crazy. Insane. Yet maybe it's not such a bad idea after all. The two of them embark on a journey they never imagined they'd be on. Fake relationships is a very big trope. Batsheva gets to know her fake husband on a deeper level, and it's not long before they decide to date. But how could a relationship ever work out between people who are total opposites? This book's going to have a lot there, by the way.
I like this. I feel like we haven't done a frum romance in a while.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I already have so much to say.
Totally. So much
not wanting to go to not wanting to go to a reunion. That's a thing.
Reunions are huge, and reunions of a frum high school where everyone's married. Like, I have a lot to say about that.
I think we should read this.
Let's do it.
An Unlikely Match by Chaya T. Hirsch.
Great.
I still think we'll get to the Jean Meltzer books at some point.
Sure.
We'll get to the Late Night Love at some point.
Yeah.
But An Unlikely Match by Chaya T. Hirsch is our next read. It's available on Kindle Unlimited. I'm clicking read now. And I'm excited.
An Unlikely Match by Chaya T. Hirsch. Here it is. Awesome.
Okay, that's our next read. Listeners, Chaya T. Hirsch's book's our next read. I loved catching up tonight.
Yes, it's about time. All right.
And we talked about Texas Cowboy Sweetheart. We picked our next book.
Check, check, check.
Episodes are going to be back.
Absolutely.
Multiple rounds of antibiotics went through my house, so we're feeling positive.
Awesome. Immune systems are pumping.
We are. A couple things to tell our listeners. Leave us a review. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe. Follow us on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts so you always get our new episode in your feed. This podcast is brought to you by Hanukkah Pong, which is a menorah-shaped beer pong available on Amazon. It's produced by William Levin.
Yes.
Sound effects by William.
Always a highlight.
And, yeah. Be in touch. We love hearing from our listeners.
Yes. Keep it coming.
Good night.
Good night.